Hello, everyone. We are live. I am Yolanda with Harper Therapy. I'm co founder of Harper Therapy, and I'm here today with our therapist, Jennifer Schaap. And at Harper Therapy, we are wanting to share some tidbits of information that we hope that you will find helpful as we're navigating through this unique time of COVID-19, of social distancing, of global pandemic, all of that stuff. And today, Jennifer's going to share with us some information about how, when we are in stressful situations, our brain takes that stress and it triggers this fight, flight, freeze response, which is totally understandable. But from that place of fear, anxiety, stress, there can be some really unhelpful thought patterns that can come out of that fight, flight, freeze response. So, Jennifer, you're going to share what those patterns are so that when we maybe are experiencing those thoughts, we can kind of recognize that that is from this place of stress response. And these thought patterns aren't necessarily helpful, are they?
No, they're not helpful, and exactly what you're saying, that, it'd be normal if, like, these are type of thought patterns that you are encountering, but so I kinda just wanna, like, n name them so it's easier for you to identify maybe when you notice you're experiencing these. So the first one I wanna go over is, threat scanning. So this is, like, when your mind is constantly searching the environment for a threat. So this can look like constantly scanning your body for the virus. It could look like constantly checking the news for like new negative developments. And the reason this isn't helpful is because your brain is going into hypervigilance. It's constantly searching the area for a danger. And with that, you're not able to be present in the current moment. And it's not healthy because like you're not able to be in the present moment. You're not able to do self-care skills because you're constantly searching for other things. And I think this is a very common one, especially
Yeah,
watching the news a lot.
yeah, especially if we're consuming a lot of news. And, as trauma therapists, we understand this hypervigilance. We understand the thought that, if I scan enough, then that'll keep me safe. When in reality, our brain so hyper focuses on something that it leaves us less able to, be vigilant and alert and aware and take really helpful measures instead of, this hypervigilance state. So that's an important one to recognize. What's one of the other thought patterns?
So the next one I want to go over is catastrophizing. That's
Mhm.
going to the worst case situation. So this is the idea that, oh, well, since I go out in public now, I'm going to have the virus and I'm going to pass it on to everyone else. Um,
Mhm.
and so I want to differentiate here between like being careful and then just jumping to like the worst case situation or idea.
Mhm.
So it's like the idea of like, I cough, now someone else has it, or someone
Mhm.
else coughs and now that I have it. So this is kind of recognizing that like small things don't necessarily equal this big catastrophe. And it's kind of going back to the same idea before. Like this is coming from your limbic system. This isn't helpful. This is again scanning for dangers. And a lot of times it's not the worst case situation.
I call this the homeless under the bridge scenario. So, I think part of a worst case scenario is like I'm going to end up homeless under a bridge. But when we take a step back from that, it's like, what are actually the steps that would have to happen for me to really be homeless under a bridge? And then, like, who else in my life would prevent that from happening? So, it is recognizing that our brains jump to that worst case scenario. But when I kind of take a step back and I fact check that, it's not accurate.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to that worst place. Like another one I
Yeah.
would say is the idea that I'm just going to lose everyone because of this. And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, searching for those facts. Is there like basis for this? What tools am I doing to kind of combat this? Like, am I going out
Mhm.
with like taking preventive measures? Am I washing my hands?
Mhm.
Am I wearing masks? That's what I
Mhm.
would encourage you to be more focusing on. Um,
Right. Yeah, those things that you are doing. Yeah.
so the next one I want to talk about is hypothetical worry. So this
Mhm.
one is can be really hard for people if they fear the unknown. And like
Mhm.
I laugh at that because like anxiety is triggered by the fear of the unknown. And like
Right.
who like is okay with the unknown really?
Right.
That's a pretty common fear. So the idea is that you focus on like the worries, you focus on the problem, you focus on like what could happen. So the idea is like I'm following all the protocols, but what if I get it still? And it's like what if like this lasts for years? Like this is just like again unhealthy thinking patterns. And so it'd be more like encouraging you to focus more on like rational type of worry or practical
Mhm.
worry. That's more of like what you have control over. So the
Mhm.
idea is like because sometimes worry like serves effect. Like I think
Mhm.
anxiety serves effect. Like the idea of like being like cautious, like maybe
Mhm.
I'm a little bit more nervous when I'm going out, but this nervousness is telling me like, let me like take some hand sanitizer with me. Let me wash
Mhm.
my hands when I get back. Let me
Mhm.
be mindful not to touch everything in the grocery store for my health,
Right.
for everyone else's. So that's
Right.
kind of the difference. Like one is more of like
Mhm.
a practical type of like how can I do it in the here and now to make myself feel good, and the other
Yeah.
is like in the future what can happen, and we
Right.
the future. So we're just like spending a lot of energy trying to
Yeah. It's one of the reasons that we're so exhausted, right? Is that this mental space of these different unhelpful thinking patterns takes up a lot of energy. And I think we can meet some of these with like, is this helpful? Is this thought helpful for me in the here and now? Yeah.
yeah. The next one is I want to talk about emotional reasoning. So that's when you use
Hmm.
emotions to dictate facts. So an example of this
Hmm.
would be I feel nervous, so I must be unsafe. I
Hmm.
feel guilty, so I must have done something wrong. Um, And emotions are a great way to dictate like how you are feeling in the moment and if this is a situation that you might want to leave, but they also can sometimes make us worry more than we need to. Just because
Hmm.
you feel unsafe doesn't necessarily mean you are unsafe, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So emotions aren't always facts. They're just a way to kind of check in with our body and notice like how am I feeling right now? What do I need to do? So kind of like I was saying, like so maybe like it's like I feel unsafe if you're in like a grocery store. What do I need to do right now? Okay, maybe I need to make sure I'm wearing my mask. Maybe I need to like put on some hand sanitizer. So focusing more on those versus like I'm unsafe, so therefore I'm in danger and I'm gonna get the virus.
Right.
It's going
Right.
to the big there's a theme with all these. It's like going to the big picture of like
Right.
worst situation.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's just something to notice like, oh, am I like using emotional reasoning in order to dictate my safety? Um,
Yeah.
and then the very last one I want to talk about is fortune telling. So that's
Hmm.
using predictions as facts. So this is like
Hmm.
when you don't necessarily have anything to back up it, but it's like,
Yeah.
I predict that we will be here for years. I don't really have anything to back that up, but I'm just using fortune telling. I'm just predicting it.
Yeah.
And so it's like our mind is using interpretations instead of facts. So it's just again like using some grounding techniques when you're feeling in these moments. Maybe it's like you need to go do some deep breathing. Maybe it's you need to go like turn off the news. Maybe if it's at home, you need to kind of just go engage in like some creativity or take
Yeah.
a walk. Anything to
Yeah.
slow down your brain and help it from like staying in these thinking patterns because they're not
Mhm.
necessarily going to keep you any safer. They're probably going to
Right.
make anxiety higher. They're probably going to make you feel more fatigued and unable to be present. And honestly, it probably will make you not necessarily catch the virus. That's not what I want to say, but it might make you actually like feel sick because
Well,
like
it
exhausted.
yeah, yeah, you're exhausted, and then, that state of, like, hypervigilance compromises your immune system, so, that can lead you to be more susceptible, to, fatigue and illness just in general, right? But
Yeah.
those grounding, like, coming back to the present moment for a lot of us, it's putting notice your feet on the floor, notice your, you know, bottom in your chair, notice the things that are in the room, so take some breaths, go for a walk, like you said, to help combat these unhelpful thinking patterns.
Yes, I think sometimes we hold on to the thinking patterns thinking that they're keeping us safer. And that's kind of
Yeah,
why I wanted to go over them because they're not necessarily making us any more prepared. Just
no,
focusing on what can I do in the here and now to make myself feel safe.
I love it. I love it. It all comes back to the present moment and kind of fact checking some of these thoughts that are coming from our reptilian part of our brain, not the thinking part of our brain.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you so much. Those are really helpful tips. So if you're noticing these thought patterns, guys, just kind of fact check them. And if you need some help in identifying some of these that might be at play for you, then reach out to a therapist for support. We're here to help you with these things. We're now scheduling online sessions. So you're not in this alone. None of us are in this alone. So if you found this helpful, then share what these thought patterns are, because these are kind of universal. We all experience these types of thought patterns. So you're not alone with that either. So everyone take care, stay well, and let's take care of each other. Thank you.
Bye.